If you could only train one way for muscle growth, would you pick heavy reps with strict form or moderate to high reps focusing on time under tension, the squeeze, and more of like a lactic acid buildup? If you had to grow right now for the next year, answering honestly, which one would you pick?
It depends on if I'm my current age or if I'm 24 years old.
No, right now, right now.
Well, right now, I would take option number two.
Yeah.
If I was younger, I'd probably take option number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that because we've got people on both ends of it. Do you think one has an advantage over the other when it comes to muscle growth? I mean, obviously, I think we would all answer that we need to mix it all in. But
Yeah.
do you think heavy reps with strict form has an advantage when you're younger over focusing on the squeeze and lactic acid buildup?
Well, I mean, I think that where older guys get into trouble is so the progressive overload stuff is fantastic, but let's be realistic here. You're not going to keep increasing your bench press reps forever.
Yep.
It ain't going to happen.
No, it's not.
And that's where option number two is really good because you can continue to grow through other means. So, as you get older and as you get closer to your strength potential, you have to do more of option number two or you're going to get hurt, plain and simple. I don't know too many guys that have been training for over 30 years. I know a ton of guys that have been training for 5 years. That number gets smaller and smaller as people tear their shoulders up, they tear their backs up, they tear their knees up, their elbows, everything. So as you get older, that heavy weight, man, and when you say heavy, so heavy is a relative term. I mean like doing heavy sets of 3, 4, and 5. Like if you're doing a heavy set of 8 to 10, heavy to me means just means you're going closer to failure.
Yeah.
And if you're doing 15 reps and you hit failure, if you're doing 10 reps and you hit failure, I don't really think there's much of a difference for muscle gain. I just think like if you do 5 reps to failure versus 15, now you're going to sacrifice a little stress on the connective tissue.
Yep.
So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, John, I would take number 2 as well. And I mean, I'm 42, but in the last 4 or 5 years, I've kind of just gravitated towards number 2. And, we've talked about how my physique's taken off in the last, few years. And maybe it's because my muscle connection was just always shitty, or I wasn't able to get as much intensity when I was worried about just getting a heavy weight from A to B. But putting more focus for me on 2 has really pushed my physique to another level.